a lot of people think that if you come and you're on the other side of the border, I'm not talking about Mexico, somebody on the other side of the border, a woman is getting ready to have a baby, she crosses the border for one day, has the baby, all of a sudden, for the next 80 years, hopefully longer, but for the next 80 years, we have to take care of the people. If you come across for one day, and you have a baby, now the baby is going to be an American citizen. There are great legal scholars, the top, that say that's absolutely wrong. It's going to be tested.
All right, let's go to a great legal scholar, John Yoo, law professor at UC Berkeley and former Deputy Assistant Attorney General, and also author of Point of Attack, Preventative War, International Law, and Global Welfare. John, always great to talk to you, sir. You disagree with Donald Trump, and you say that the 14th Amendment is clear and that Donald Trump is not a true conservative because true conservatives believe in the Constitution as is.
Yeah, I don't think that Donald Trump's going to be appointing me to his Supreme Court anytime soon. Look, the text of the 14th Amendment, I'll pull out the Constitution, says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. So right there, the Constitution's text, I think, is pretty clear. It says people born in the United States are citizens. The legal scholars that Donald Trump's referring to read a lot into this phrase, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. They say that means that it must be the case if foreign citizens in the U.S. are not subject to U.S. jurisdiction. They owe their allegiance to another country. But I think that's a misreading of the text. Subject to the jurisdiction means they're on our territory and we can enforce our laws on them, which we can do with anybody on our territory. The only people who would be accepted would be the children of foreign diplomats, enemy soldiers occupying U.S. territory, or the biggest exception at that time would be American Indians on their reservations, which were within our territory, but which U.S. law would not apply to. Other than that, everyone else born in the United States is a citizen.
All right, but let me play devil's advocate here, and in truth, I'm not really playing because I kind of believe what I'm saying. I agree with you that I believe in a strict interpretation of the Constitution and original intent. However, can it not be argued legitimately that it never was the original intent of the 14th Amendment to have people, figure out how to take advantage of it, to form this whole scheme to break into this country illegally for the express purpose of having a baby who would then, by definition, become a citizen? I mean, isn't that against the intent of the amendment?
I'd say I agree with you in that I don't think the framers of the 14th Amendment ever anticipated the kind of immigration problem we're having today and the idea that people might come to the U.S., have a kid, leave just for the purpose of having a child who is a citizen. On the other hand, when the Republicans, right, the 14th Amendment is really a great achievement of the Republican Party. It's a product of the Civil War. One of its main purposes was to overrule Dred Scott. And the problem with Dred Scott was that you had people in the courts and in Congress trying to say, well, these people born in the United States were not citizens. And they were referring to freed slaves. Yeah. Some people were.
Okay, well, I understand that. I understand that. So where do we go? I mean, is it legitimate for, this has never been, and correct me if I'm wrong, this case has never gone to the U.S. Supreme Court in the, over the so-called anchor baby issue. And if that's correct, can a Republican president get in? Can the Congress pass a bill saying that it will no longer going forward apply to the anchor baby situation, however they want to word that, and then the president signs it into law, and then it takes effect pending it goes all the way to the Supreme Court? I mean, is that a realistic scenario?
Look, I understand why people might want to pass a law that does that. I know a lot of other countries grant citizenship based on the citizenship of your parents, not the territory where you're born. But I think that's what the 14th Amendment requires. So yes, I think a president in 2017 could go through that whole effort, but I think the court's going to find it unconstitutional. There's an old Supreme Court case in the late 19th century involving the parents of Chinese citizens who came to California. They could never become citizens under federal law because of something called the Chinese Exclusion Act, but their child was born here. And there's a Supreme Court case that said that child was a citizen, even though California tried to prevent him from being one. So I think based on that precedent and where the Supreme Court's gone, I don't think that that kind of law would have great chance of success in our courts.
Interesting, of course, with the current makeup of the court, but you never know by the time it got to the Supreme Court. If there were a Republican president, maybe there'd be 1 or 2 appointments that would shift the court. That's always possible, I guess. John, great to have your expertise. Always a pleasure to talk to you, sir.
Thanks. I hate we disagree on one issue at last.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, I look forward to talking to you again, and I'm sure in the next one we'll probably be in agreement. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, John Zogby. But first, Hillary Clinton's email scandal continues to make news. Did Hillary Clinton break the law? We want to know what you think. Go to newsmaxpolls.com to cast your vote. That's newsmaxpolls.com. Do it now. Thank you very much.